So my history with tubeless tyres on bikes has been a little hit and miss. If you've seen my previous videos, you know exactly what I'm referring to. And I'm sure today's video will be no exception to that rule. So what I'm up to here today in the Lama garage is checking and replacing the sealant in these gravel tyres, because it's been just over 6 months since I put these all together and I haven't added any top-up sealant since. I'm keen to have a look inside the tyres to see the condition of the sealant after that 6 months, because I'm sure it's not the same as what it was when it went in. Now there are 3 ways that I know of that you can check sealant in a tyre without taking everything apart. The first method is the good old shake. Now I'm getting no slushing at all, but I can hear something inside the tyre, so I'm a bit worried that the sealant has dried up a little in the front tyre. In the back, again, no slushing when I shake that. The second method is the dipstick method, where you take the valve core out with the valve at 6 o'clock, dip something long and thin in, pull it out, see if there's any sealant on it. And the third method is the suck it and see method. If you've got one of these sealant injection tools, you can just do the reverse. Put it in, depending on the valve that you've got, pull the sealant out if there's any in there, and check the condition of it. Now, why go through all this process? Why not just top it up and ride on? Well, 2 reasons. Firstly, the team from SRAM Australia saw my video on this bike a few weeks back and noted that when I was going through the SRAM Access web with all the data collected from the gear changes and the power meter and everything else, there was no tyre pressure data there. So they've sent over some TyreWiz devices, which are real-time tyre pressure sensors, which I'll be installing on the bike today. And installing those does require a new valve to be put on. And secondly, this bike is my pride and joy, so I want to do everything that I can to make sure it is in the best possible condition. And that means not just throwing more sealant in and hoping for the best. So that's what I'm about to get my hands dirty with. Now, I'm dressed all in black. This tyre sealant is bright white. What could possibly go wrong? Okay, double timing most of this video today to save you time of watching me here in the Lama garage. First up, doing the dipstick test on the rear tyre, just to see the condition of the sealant before I take everything apart. And no real surprises there. It's not as white as it once was, quite a clear liquid, and not a lot there coming off on my finger. So definitely time for a replacement, according to that test there. The suck it and see test doesn't quite work because I can't get the tube all the way down into the bottom of the tyre, so giving up on that one for now. Oh, if you're wondering what that button is, it's the rear cage lockout, and I think all rear derailleurs should have them. It makes removing wheels so much easier. Okay, dipstick test on the front wheel. And that's looking a lot better than what the rear did. Quite a bit of sealant still in there, still holding its colour. And probably doesn't need replacing, but I'm here to do it anyway. Okay, on to the rear wheel. We'll get that off the rim. I'm going to try to complete today's tasks with no tyre levers. Wish me luck. Oh, that was easy. And inside the tyre we can still see quite a lot of sealant, which is still running around as it should. So looking a little bit better than what I thought, actually. But I'm not here today to admire what is. I'm here to clean it out and do a complete refresh of all this sealant. Now, given it hasn't dried up too much, cleaning the tyre out was a very, very simple task. Not a lot of scrubbing required. And not a lot of staminals or snot balls or whatever you want to call them. The tyre was in very, very good condition internally. Out with the old stem and in with the new, which is compatible with the TyreWiz.
Now, technically these aren't directional, but there is an advised way to put them on. And I did get it right for the rear. Let's not talk about the front just yet. Success with no tools required, getting that tyre on. And how good are air compressors? I should have had one all along. Onto the sealant, 60mm going in. And I do have to remove the TyreWiz before putting the sealant in to make sure the sealant doesn't go into the TyreWiz sensor. So that quickly comes off. Sealant in. You can see it popping out those holes there, which I will clear it from before putting the TyreWiz sensor back on. Okay, valve stem all clear. TyreWiz back on. Now onto the inflation side of things, and I thought it would be interesting to pull up the data on screen from the TyreWiz as I pump the tyre up by hand. Now I don't have a press-to valve extension for my air compressor yet, so back to by hand, and surprise, surprise, the technology is working as it should. I pump my tyres up initially to around 50 psi, which is not what I ride, but it allows the sealant to fill any gaps or holes that it needs to, so those tyres stay inflated. Okay, giving it a bit of a shake to spread that sealant all around. Making sure the tyre is seated on the bead correctly. All looks good. Yes, doing that does actually influence the readings. Interesting. Back down to a more usable pressure. And it's job done for the rear. Happy days. Okay, rinse and repeat for the front. We'll go faster than double time on this one because it's pretty much exactly the same. No tools required. Lots more sealant in the front, swimming around. Indicating that 6 months life is fine for these actually. I probably could have gotten a few more months out of these. I'm sure that would have sealed a few holes here and there if it needed to. And again, no build-up, no staminals, no snot balls of sealant. Everything is looking really, really good, and not a lot of scrubbing required at all. Do note I am lining up the logos on the tyre with the valve, as is required. Okay, valve cleared of any tyre sealant. TyreWiz on. Now those watching very, very carefully, hold your typing, hold the comments. I fix this later on. I'm actually installing it backwards here. It's an easy fix. You'll see in a moment. Valve core back in. And again, loading up the data from the front TyreWiz. And everything is working as expected. Very, very happy with that. Shaking it all about to spread that tyre sealant internally at 50 psi, and then we'll let it back down. Yeah, it still does affect the readings. Quite a sensitive little tool. There we go. Easy as that. Now, yes, as I mentioned, those with eagle eyes would have seen that I've installed that backwards on the front wheel, but it's as simple as turning it around like that, screwing it back on, and adding a bit more air, and we're good. Not a fatal mistake.
Okay, so there we are, finished product, and I'm super happy that my ratio of bad and good videos with tubeless tyres leans one more towards good today. That was a pretty simple process, but it all comes down to having the right tools. And everybody who told me to get an air compressor, you were right. You were very, very right. Although this tyre and wheel combo are pretty well suited, and I was able to beat those with just the floor pump anyway. But the air compressor makes life so much better. As for the TyreWizes, it was pretty cool to see those numbers go up as I put them on. And yes, it was my bad that I installed that one the wrong way around, but spinning it was a simple process. That was not a problem at all. Okay, we'll leave it there for today. Thanks for watching this one. It's always a bit of fun here in the Lama garage, and now I can go out and enjoy another 6 months plus of this bike without having to worry too much about that sealant. Thanks for watching.